You arrive at the airport, tag your suitcase, hand it over at check-in, watch it disappear behind the rubber curtain, and within seconds, it's gone. Swallowed by the airport as if it simply ceases to exist. But what actually happens to your plane after you check in your bags and head towards security? Because while you're queuing for coffee and scrolling through your phone, that aircraft you'll board later is about to enter a tightly choreographed 90-minute race against the clock, where fuel trucks, cargo loaders, engineers, cleaners, pilots, and controllers all move in perfect sequence to prepare a machine that weighs hundreds of tons to fly safely across continents again. And if even one part of that sequence slips, delays cascade across the network, so today we're stepping behind the scenes to uncover the hidden countdown before takeoff. And if you enjoy discovering the invisible systems that make travel possible, make sure you subscribe. The aircraft touches down, reversers roar, tires smoke against the runway, and within minutes it's taxiing toward the gate where a ground marshaller is already waiting with illuminated wands, guiding the pilots forward with precise hand signals until the wheels stop exactly on their marks. Engines wind down, seatbelt signs switch off, and before most passengers have even unbuckled, the first vehicles are already moving in. Cones are placed around the aircraft to create a safety zone. The jet bridge begins to extend toward the door. Ground power is connected so the engines can remain off. And underneath the fuselage, teams position themselves for what comes next. Because the second those doors open, the 90-minute turnaround clock officially starts, and every crew outside knows exactly how little time they have. Airlines don't make money when planes sit still, so the goal is simple. Keep the aircraft moving because every extra minute at the gate can cost thousands in fuel, crew time, missed connections, and disrupted schedules across an entire network. And on busy routes, that same aircraft might operate 5 or 6 flights in a single day, hopping between cities like a carefully placed chess piece. Which means this turnaround isn't just about one departure, it's about protecting every flight that comes after it. And that's why the 90-minute window is broken into tightly scheduled tasks that often happen at the same time, not one after another, with refueling starting while bags are unloaded, catering trucks lifting into position as cleaners move through the cabin, and pilots already reviewing weather and routing for the next leg. Because in this race against the clock, timing isn't important. It's everything. Refueling is one of the most critical steps in the entire turnaround because without it, nothing moves. And within minutes of arrival, a fuel truck pulls up beneath the wing or connects to an underground hydrant system, attaching thick hoses that will pump thousands of liters of jet fuel into the aircraft at astonishing speed. But this isn't just about filling a tank, it's about precision. Because the exact amount of fuel depends on distance, weather, alternate airports, expected delays, cargo weight, and strict safety reserves. And while the fuel flow's strict safety procedures are in place, bonding cables prevent static discharge. Safety zones are enforced, and communication between the cockpit and ground crew remains constant, because one miscalculation or one safety lapse here doesn't just cause a delay, it can ground the aircraft entirely. While refueling continues beneath the wings, another operation begins at the aircraft doors as catering trucks rise to cabin height and entire galley carts are rolled off and replaced in a carefully timed exchange. Because on a single narrow-body flight, there may be hundreds of meals, drinks, snacks, and supplies to reload, and on long-haul routes, that number climbs into the thousands, all prepared hours earlier in massive off-site kitchens and sealed for safety and traceability, with special meals separated, counted, and double-checked to ensure the right passenger gets the right tray, while ice drawers are refilled, coffee makers reset, ovens inspected, and waste carts removed. And this all has to happen quickly, but methodically, because once boarding begins, there's no time to discover a missing cart at 35,000 feet. So every item is scanned, verified, and locked into place before the doors close. Beneath the cabin floor, one of the most precise operations of the entire turnaround is underway. Because loading bags and cargo isn't about fitting everything in, it's about balance. And every suitcase, container, and freight pallet must be placed according to a detailed load plan that calculates the aircraft's center of gravity down to exact limits. Since even a small imbalance can affect fuel efficiency, handling, and safety during takeoff and landing. So baggage containers are scanned, weighed, and assigned specific positions in the hold. Heavier cargo may be placed forward or aft depending on the numbers, and once loading is complete, a final load sheet is generated and sent to the cockpit, where pilots review the total weight, balance figures, and performance calculations. Because before that aircraft can leave the ground again, the math has to be perfect. Up in the cockpit, while all of this unfolds below, the pilots are already preparing for departure, reviewing the flight plan generated by dispatch, checking updated weather reports along the route, calculating fuel burn against the final load sheet, and entering precise performance data into the flight management system, because runway length, outside temperature, aircraft weight, and wind conditions all determine the exact thrust setting needed for takeoff. And even small changes can alter those numbers, so they cross-check each other's inputs, line by line, complete mandatory safety checklists, test flight controls, confirm navigation systems, and conduct a final briefing that covers everything from expected turbulence to alternate airports. Because by the time passengers begin boarding, the flight crew must already be confident that every variable has been accounted for and the aircraft is ready to fly. As boarding finishes and the cabin doors close, the final phase begins. Ground crew remove the cones, disconnect ground power, and a pushback tug locks onto the nose gear. Because once the aircraft leaves the gate, it cannot simply pull forward on its own. Clearance is requested from air traffic control. The tug gently pushes the aircraft backward from the stand, and during this slow, controlled movement, the pilots start the engines one by one, monitoring temperatures, pressures, and fuel flow as the turbines come alive. And when the tug disconnects and gives a final salute, the aircraft is officially on its own again, transitioning from a parked machine to an active flight, because from this moment forward, there is no turning back to the gate without disrupting the entire carefully timed sequence that made this departure possible. And as the aircraft begins to taxi away from the gate, what looked like a routine departure is revealed for what it really is. A perfectly timed collaboration between dozens of specialists who may never meet the passengers they are working for, yet whose decisions, calculations, and coordination make every safe takeoff possible, because in just 90 minutes that aircraft has been refueled, rebalanced, restocked, inspected, cleaned, recalculated, and cleared for flight, transforming from an arriving jet into a machine ready to cross continents again. And most of it happened while you were simply waiting at the gate, which is what makes modern air travel so remarkable. The complexity is hidden in plain sight, so the next time you look out of that cabin window before takeoff, you'll know you're watching the final moments of an invisible race against the clock. And if you enjoyed going behind the scenes of this hidden world, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have ideas for the next story we should uncover, let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one.